Good to see you again, friends. Welcome to another press conference, the end of week 3 in Gridiron Throne Fantasy Football. And another victory for yours truly. But I know I'm not the only one that won. So let's try to review some stats right now, shall we? Our first game of the day was Andrew Miranda versus Garrity Rowe, the battle of the undefeated versus the once defeated. Andy brought in an injury-plagued team, and all but 2 of his bench players were actually injured. Adding insult to injury, his kicker during pregame warm-ups was also injured. Managed to play through the game and get him a couple points, but is now on the injured reserve. Gary, on the other hand, had stud after stud after stud for his starting lineup. In fact, every starter posted a better record or point total than every position of Andy's, leading to a loss for Andy in the triple digits by a score of 176.8 to 76.4. Game number 2 of the evening had Kyle Hazen facing off against Matthew Carver. That's an undefeated against another 1-1 team. Kyle started the day by spotting 3 points to Matt via the Browns defense. He was smart to do that, however, because had he used the Chiefs defense, which was on his bench, it would have been 5 points. He was not smart, however, to not use Devontae Freeman, who scored twice as many points, fantasy-wise, as the starting 3 running backs he used in his 2 positions plus his flex. Matt Carver, unfortunately, could have used Alex Smith and Lamar Miller, whom he also had on the bench. Had he done that, he would have won the day. Unfortunately, that left him with a total of 48.6, our worst point total of the week, against Kyle Hazen's weak but winnable 68.9. Game 3 of the day had Brian Spear facing off against Matt Moore, the battle of the several-time defeateds. Yes, the winner of this would have their first win of the season and hopefully be able to rebuild their shitty franchise. Well, Brian Spear relied on Carson Palmer's arm early and coasted to his first win of the season, seeing as how Matt Moore made it easy for him by only having one player score in the double digits. That final score was 100.9 to 73.6. Game 4 brought us our most lopsided victory of the day. Andrew Faulkner started out by allowing his kicker and defense to give up 7 points to Alex, seeming as how he thought this must have been an easy victory for him. Unfortunately, Alex was having none of that. In fact, his kicker was the only person who didn't score in the double digits, and his tight end and kicker were the only ones to score under 20. Yes, even his bench outscored Andy's on this particular day, leaving a final total of 211.2 to Alex to 71.5 to Andy. Our second to last game of the evening had the 0-2 Richard DeGrow's team facing off against the 1-1 Jeff Hastings team. Jeff had a relatively rough night, seeing as how he had a running problem. In fact, his 2 best running backs were benched in place of his 3 worst that were out there. Richie was able to, however, get some victory with some authority this week, getting him on the win column. That walk of shame seemed to do the trick as the final score was 160.1 to 104.1. Our final game of the evening had Scott Wilson, the undefeated man himself, facing off against Brashawn, who was 1-1 and looking to give Scott his first loss of the season. This is a very weird one, folks, seeing as how Scott was able to somehow use Colin Kaepernick and still somehow won. And Brashawn was able to use A.J. Green, who got 41 points and still somehow lost. Yes, Scott was able to stay undefeated, and that had in no small part to do with Brashawn spotting him 5 points by playing the Niners defense. Seeing as how he only lost by 7.5, that was pretty close. That final there was 84.6 to 77.1. Beginning this week, we have 3 teams left with an undefeated record, as well as 1 team with a completely defeated record. Leading off in your undefeated teams, we have yours truly, Scott Wilson and Kyle Hazen. The completely defeated team is Cunthead, a.k.a. Matthew the Asian Moore. Only one other team in this series of 12 has a record above 500. That'd be Alex Ryan. Everyone else is 1-2. There are also 2 teams currently that have over 400 points for, and only 1 team that has less than 213. That team, unfortunately, is Boner for Carson, a.k.a. Matthew Carver. We're going to do a few things differently right now just to see other avenues that we can do. I mean, if I'm going to be doing a lot of press conferences, I got to figure out new things to do. So let's take a brief review of how the season's gone so far for everyone. Up first, we have Matt Moore. His current point differential is negative over 70. It's not looking so good for him. He is winless in his first three because he faced off against me and two other people who shall remain nameless. I'm just kidding. The other two people are Brashawn Bryant and Brian Spear, both of whom are 1 and 2. They're only victories against this guy, so if you're looking for victories in this league, I think you found your match. Up next, we have Matt Carver, who is currently 1 and 2 on the season. He has posted a measly 203.5 this year, but seeing as how he's actually faced off against two of the highest teams in the league, and his first victory coming against Brashawn Bryant, the season is not out of reach for him. He is tied currently for 5th place at 1 and 2. Next up, we have Brashawn Bryant. He is currently 1 and 2 on the season. He has yet to score above 87 points, and the way he got to that standings was by facing people such as Scott Wilson and not being able to put up more than 87. His only victory in the season has come against Matthew Moore in Rivalry Week, which, funny story, is the reason why Matthew Moore has kept his cunthead name. Next up, we have Andrew Faulkner. His current points for are 255.6, and his points against are 390.2. His point differential is over 140 points against. However, he did win in Week 1 in decided fashion against my brother by a score of 111.8 to 76.5. His next two losses came to Andrew Miranda and Alex Ryan. We'll see what the rest of the season holds for this guy. Next up, going upward, we have Andrew Miranda, who has scored 298.6 points for to 381.3 against, but we can't hold that against him, seeing as how he has faced two undefeated teams. His only victory came in the Rivalry Week against Andrew Faulkner. We will see what the rest of the season holds for him, seeing as how he actually has more points than one of the people who are undefeated. Good luck the rest of the season to Andrew Miranda. Next up, and having a rough start to the season, is last year's champion, Jeff Hastings. His current record is 1 and 2. His points for are 314.6, and his points against are 387.6. That is less than 100 as a point differential. His first victory came on the first game of the season, but he has dropped the next two. We'll see what ends up happening for Mr. Hastings. Next up, we have Brian Spear. His points for is 315.6. His points against is just over 300, which means he has a nasty knack of losing really close games. His first victory came in Week 3 at the hands of the woeful 0-3 Cunthead, but his other two losses came as a result of playing Jeff and also playing the undefeated Kyle Hastings in Rivalry Week by 1.4 points. Good luck the rest of the season, sir. Next up, we have Richie DeGrow, whose point differential is actually under 10 points. His current record is 1 and 2. He was able to get one of the victories that he posted over 100 points for against Mighty Chewy himself, Jeff Hastings, last week. But the first two games he dropped, including the Rivalry Week, which is why he is full of Cersei shame. Good luck the rest of the way, my broseph. Next up, we have the other newcomer to the league, Alex Ryan. He's currently doing quite well at a 2-1 record and posting a massive 211 points last week. His current record is 2-1, but he has scored the most points in the league. His only loss coming to the undefeated team, Kyle Hazen, by a score of 90.1 to 83.3. We'll see what this massive offensive streak can do for him in the rest of the way. Next up, we have the first of the three undefeateds in Kyle Hazen, who's been doing outstanding this season comparative to last one. His record of 3-0 is because he has beaten people such as Alex Ryan, handing him his only loss, as well as two others who are 1 and 2. His point against margin is 228 to his points for of 257, making him the narrowest of the people who are undefeated. Yes, 30 points is all that stands between him, the 3-0, and the 0-3 he should be. Good luck the rest of the season. Currently in second place, we have the second of the undefeated teams at 3-0. We have Scott Wilson, whose points for of 326.3 and points against of 278.1 show us that 50 points is what has been able to allow him to defeat such strong opponents as Andrew Miranda, Jeff Hastings, and Rashawn Bryant. He has beaten them in all decided fashions, which is super impressive considering last year, his very first season, he got second, and he still has kind of no idea what he's doing. I'd like to believe it's because he's a genius, others might believe he's an idiot. But hey, either way, good luck the rest of the way, Scott. Last up, we have yours truly. I tried to Google myself online by typing in the most awesome thing ever, and this is pretty much the next best thing to my picture. Yes, that is Charizard being ridden by Darth Vader himself. And what better to personify an undefeated team who is currently in first place than that very image? The way I got to where I was by looking at the scores that I have posted. Never have I scored below 115, and each and every week I am able to defeat my opponents. Yes, that's right, my points for are 414.74 to 276 against. That's over 136 points as a point differential. The rest of the season is yours, gentlemen, to fight for second place, because clearly you know who your leader is. If you don't like it, fucking beat me. Wow. I gotta say, it feels pretty good to know how good I've been doing. And, doesn't hurt as bad as you might think to see that friends are just not doing so well right now. But such is the life here at Gridiron Throne. Well, the only thing that's really left to do now is, talk about some bets, shall we? Each one of these bets is gonna be worth one of these motherfuckers down this motherfucker right here. First things first. Jeff Hastings, my 2 running backs versus your 2 running backs in an all-holds-barred, winner-takes-all, one-chug contest, you and me right now. As for my brother, Richie, your flex versus my flex, motherfucker. Next up, we have Andrew Miranda, your QB versus my QB. Matt, I kind of feel bad for you, so I've got to pick one of your best qualities. I guess your defense versus mine. You really haven't had much else up to that point, so your defense versus mine. Person who gets the most points doesn't have to drink this. The person who loses, you, has to drink the fuck out of this. Next one up, Kyle Hazen. My wide receivers versus your wide receivers. You think you got some hot shit in your wide receiver squad? I got hotter shit. I fucking promise you that. Are we clear? You're going to chug tomorrow night. That's all you. Are we clear? All right. Next one up, we have Brian Spear. My kicker versus yours. Now, I have a lot of feelings going up against the Cardinals kicker, but you know what? It's worth it to see you down another fucking beer the way I saw you chug that beer last week. Now, you can argue, I had 4 shots up to that point, but here's the thing. You did, but they were ice cold and they were fucking weak-ass shots. Are we clear? You're going to chug another one, you're going to chug it like a man and not a little bitch. Next up, we have Brashawn. Brashawn, my team's playing yours anyway, so it's not enough just to say my team's going to beat yours. We're also going to say that my bench beats yours as well. Are we clear? Not only will my team beat yours, but my fucking bench is going to beat your bench as well. So, my team against your team, as well as my bench versus your bench. I have to win both in order to not drink, but let's face it, you're going to lose anyway. Problem solved. Next up, we've got Scott Wilson. Scott, I know that your 1 tight end is down right now in Gronk because it's his bye week, but the other 2 tight ends versus my tight end is your bet. Are we clear? You get to have 2 full players against my 1 player. I want to see how yours does against mine, and I want to make that bet because I've never seen you actually accept one of them. So how about you man up and accept this one this fucking time? That's right. My 1 tight end versus your 2 tight ends. Are we clear? Next up, we have Andrew Faulkner. This is just a regular one. My regular tight end versus your tight end, buddy. You already didn't start a quarterback in time, and you already have a running back who's on a bye week. So starting tomorrow, you're going to have 2 ineligible players. So I'm going to pick your 1 eligible player in the tight end versus my tight end. Are we clear? Lose your ass to chug. Next up, we've got Alex. Alex, you're new to this thing, and I understand that, which is why I am going to argue that my team is just going to beat you this week. It's just my full team versus your full team. You put up a massive amount of points, but so did I last week, and I've got full confidence that my consistency is going to beat the fuck out of your consistency. Are we clear? Loser has to chug this, motherfucker. I won't, you will. Are we clear? I might as well taste it now because I'm not going to taste it tomorrow. Booka-chow! Okay, last but not least, we have Matt Carver, the other gentleman who's new to this league. He's been having a rough time, so I'm going to make him the sweetest bet of the night. And that is that his top 5 point getters on his team that are currently playing, not bench, but regular players, his top 5, are going to beat my top 3 players. So, he gets 5 players, his top 5 score versus my top 3 score. If he has 5 players that can outscore my top 3 scores, then he's able to not chug and I'm going to have to. But let's be realistic. All fucking 11 of you are going to have to chug and I'm going to laugh my ass to the victory. Are we clear? Good day to you.